Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark,
And I'm Rob.
and today we're going to talk about U.S. Olympic Committee CEO Sarah Hirshland and her take on the roster for the U.S. Women's Olympic basketball team and Caitlin Clark being left off that roster. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so and hit that notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next videos. Rob, as I was doing our live show the other day for the Olympics, people brought up, asked about the U.S. Olympic Basketball Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And who do they answer to? And I said, I don't know. I never really thought about it. So I looked it up, and it seems like they answer to the U.S. Olympic Committee overall. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of say in it. Supposedly they have to approve the roster.
Okay.
But to my knowledge that I found in the research that I've done, they've never rejected the roster of either of the men's or the women's Olympic team.
Huh.
So what's the point of them approving it if they always just accept it?
Right. Why are you there? It's like, okay, here's a roster. Okay.
But I do get the impression they can fire them. So that's why I said before, I'm hoping that the women lose, because that's the only way to fire a committee that is corrupt, where they kept Caitlin Clark and Enrique off it. And in the past, they've kept off Becky Hammond, Candace Parker, and Nanike. So this is the fifth person they've screwed over. To my way of thinking, Rob, the only way to get rid of the corruption is to get rid of the people, including Coach Cheryl Reeves. And they interviewed her, and her exact title, she is the head of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee CEO. Her name's Sarah Hirshland, and she explained why she gives USA Basketball the benefit of the doubt in its selection process. She said that she expects this year's squad to win the gold, even without Clark. All right, I guess we should stop right there.
Right.
Rob, they've won 7 in a row. They've won 56 straight games. Everybody expects them to win with or without Clark. In fact, they could take off their 3 best women. In fact, we could send the all-star team that beat them, and they would still win the gold medal.
Yes.
So that's irrelevant. They can even screw this up if they want to in terms of winning the gold medal.
Right.
Although this year they tried pretty hard because they have a very injured team and an old team, and they don't have the best point guard playing for them. But I regress. Let's go on. I think what you have to recognize is that the selection process for an Olympic of Paralympic Games is a multi-year process. USA Basketball, in this instance, the governing body for the sport of basketball here in the U.S., has been underway in a process that's very clearly defined and set out, and they bring a group of women together over the course of many years. I want to just stop right there.
Well, let me say something. Yes. So
go ahead.
So I guess the point is the first thing is we pick the 12 best players. Okay, that's what they really emphasize. That we feel that we pick the 12 best players, and obviously that's not true.
Well, I want to emphasize the fact that this is a multi-year process, Rob, because if you look at the men's team, they'll just add anybody who's a superstar if they want to, even though they didn't participate the last 2 years for the World Championship of basketball, or the World Cup, they call it. Like LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant.
Derek White, they just picked him off the
right. All sorts of players. Joel Embiid, he just became a U.S. citizen. So all those players did not participate in the multi-year selection. They all got added to the team. There's probably a couple others too that I'm missing. Right. So that's not even true. And second of all, as we all know, Diana Taurasi, Sylvia Knowles, Candace Parker, and Breanna Stewart were all added right coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't even argue that they were more successful than Caitlin Clark, because Sylvia Knowles never won Player of the Year, and she never won a national championship. Breanna Stewart was more successful. She had 4 championships, 3 Player of the Years. Diana Taurasi and Candace Parker were not unanimous selections for Player of the Year 2 years in a row. Candace Parker did not win the Naismith Award, and Diana Taurasi did not win the AP Player of the Year 2 years in a row, and she didn't even win the Basketball Writers Association.
Right.
While Caitlin Clark was unanimous for all 3 of those. So she actually was more accomplished individually. And she did make 2 finals with, mediocre team, and she didn't have 10, 12, and 8 players that made it in WNBA, which is what those 3 players had.
So, yeah. So if they're going off, like they said, they're going off the yearly thing. They obviously are not following their own. They're not following their own format. They'll say stuff like that. Like I said, 8, 10, the 12 best players, a yearly format, and that is not true. So it's
No,
not
their
true.
format has been to always not take the 12 best players,
Right? That's what I'm saying.
and not always be a multi-selection where they always had the 12 players selected like 2 years ahead of time. They've always added players, Rob.
Yeah,
So that's
but
a lie.
they use that 12. Yeah, they use that 12 thing that we when you confront them with that question, they'll say, "Well, we picked the 12 best."
Right,
So
so
it's a lie.
they've always added young players. They've always added superstars who didn't, contribute the year before, because guess what? You want the superstar because you want to try to win. So at the same time, Caitlin Clark, if they want to try to win, they should have her because they have no healthy point guard. All right, but let's go on.
Well, we've had people who say if they added Caitlin Clark that the team would actually digress. I'm like, how is she going to?
No, that's been proven wrong, Rob.
Yeah,
and it was obvious that they were trying to hold her down by double teaming and triple teaming her all the time, and to try to make sure she didn't look as good as she was, because nobody else was getting teamed like that in the history of the WNBA.
I've never seen it. And
right.
in the All-Star game too.
Right. And okay, so she went on, Rob. When you look at the whole thing in totality, I would say USA basketball has done a very disciplined process with people who know more about the sport. Let me just stop right there. It's not discipline when you let politics determine your team, which is what they did.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. So
and then they say you know more basketball than I do. That's very, really? Okay.
So a very disciplined process with people who know more about the sport of women's basketball than anyone else in the world. No, that's not true. And I trust that they know exactly what they're doing. Well, that's a mistake because they don't. The women have won the gold medal consistently. And our hope is that they've gotten it right yet again. And we're going to win another gold. So she's hoping. She's not analyzing whether they got it right. She's just hoping. She's just trusting them because she thinks they know more about basketball than anyone else in the world, which isn't true.
Right. Yeah, they know more about women's basketball. Okay.
Most of the women in the community I never heard of before. Okay.
Yeah. So they have all this experience. Well, if that's the case, then Caitlin Clark should be on the team, and the other players should have been on the team, and Candace Parker should have been on the team.
If they knew him as
and
much
Becky
basketball,
Hammond should have been on the team.
as she claimed.
So I mean, are these the same players that rejected those players? So then obviously you need to get, like we said, you need to get rid of those people on the committee because they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right, Rob. And here's the thing. When you have twice as much talent as everybody else in the world, which they have for the last 7 Olympics, it's easy to select the team and get it right in terms of getting it right, in terms of winning. But it doesn't mean they got it right. It just means they had so much, the margin of error was so great, it was easy for them to get it right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. How could I lose? Yeah, okay. How can we lose if we just pick these players?
And same thing for this year, Rob. They're way above everybody else. Now, if they lose, they're going to look really bad, and that's why I'm hoping for that, because that's the only way you get rid of this corruption. And I don't understand why they have people over them that approve a roster and they never reject it. So what's the point?
And they want people to watch women's basketball, and you have an athlete who came into the league, who's bringing up, with attendance and the enthusiasm towards women's basketball, which it has never been at this level before. Yet you leave her off the team. If you went international with her, just think how that would really just take off. I mean, they leave out the marketing part of it, of course, but it's not even a marketing thing. She's good, so it's not really essentially a marketing thing. She's one of the best players. Right.
And look at it from this standpoint, Rob, from Sarah Hirschland. Her job from the U.S. Olympic Committee is to make sure there's not politics involved. and also, Rob, to make sure that the U.S. Olympic team is popular and the Olympics grows as a sport and women's basketball grows because that's part of Olympics. So it's her job, and it's in her best interest, Rob, to have someone like Caitlin Clark on the team so that the Olympics will be popular and get good views on NBC. Mm-hmm. Well, she didn't do her job by just rubber stamping the roster instead of saying, what about this Caitlin Clark woman? Isn't she the most popular athlete in the country right now? Isn't she the most popular basketball player in the world? Didn't she just win 2 Player of the Years? Isn't she a great scorer and great passer? How is she not on the roster? That's what I would say if I was her.
Yeah, and then break it down. So you hand me this roster. I'm like, well, we got Diana Taurasi. She's 42. She's going for her 6th Olympic gold. But wait a minute, we have this player, Caitlin Clark. I'm looking at her stats; they're much better than hers. And Chelsea Gray, I'm sorry, she's coming off an injury, and yeah, she's a great player. But right now, I don't think she's performing up to her standards.
Yeah, I mean, at the time they chose the roster, she wasn't even playing yet. So she is saying, why do you have Diana Taurasi on it when she hasn't made an all-pro team in 4 years? She's never made a defensive team. She's 42 years old. She's not one of the best players in the league. We don't need senior leadership. We got plenty of it. You got all these 26 to 33-year-olds on the team. They all have plenty, and they all have international experience in leadership. So they don't need it for that reason. And they don't need an injured point guard that is still hobbling around right now. And so if I was her, I would have said, I'm not accepting this. I think Caitlin Clark should be on the team. That's what I would say. Send me back and take someone off the team and give me Caitlin Clark. That's what I would say.
I would say
you've done this 4 times in the past where you've added the best player coming out of college. Why are you not doing it now?
Right. That would be the question.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like to me like you're doing it for politics. So I'm rejecting it. That's what I would have done.
Yeah,
and it would have been a smart move.
Mm-hmm. But no,
they didn't.
That makes too much sense, Mark. So that's
I know, Rob.
We're both using logic. Yeah, we're both using logic. So we both.
I'm sorry, I won't do it anymore on this channel.
Yeah, we're both. I'm
a lawyer. What can I say, Rob?
Logic and I'm not even a lawyer, but I have a logical mind. It's like still we can't use that, Mark.
Oh, jeez, this is such a drag. Can't do that anymore. All right, well. Let us know what you think down below. Let me know what your logic tells you about this. I mean, this is not a surprising take. I expected exactly what I heard, but it's just silly and it's dumb. And she looks silly. That's in my opinion, anyways. Every day from 2 to 5 Eastern time, we'll be covering the Olympics until August 10th, except when the women's basketball team is playing, and they're going to be playing at 3 o'clock, supposedly, on the 29th and the 1st for pool play. If they're going to be on NBC, I won't be covering that. All right. And guess what? Our normal live show is 6 to 8 Eastern time, except for major holidays on Mondays, and except for the 2 weeks during the Olympics. So join us for that. If you like this video, hit the like button and feel free to share our videos with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for?
Come on,
we're trying to hit 3,000. We've only been doing this for 3 months, and we've already got almost 3,000 subscribers. So we need your help, though. Push us over the edge. And if you want to donate to this channel, there's super chats down below, and there's also a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.